Greetings, Saints. Welcome to Chaplain pt.1 on YouTube. I'm also on brighteon.com under Heavenly Glory. And my website is eternalvaluesministries.com. eternalvaluesministries.com. All right, I just want to speak to the saints, to the church today, just out of my heart about the things happening these days with this deadly virus. There's a lot of things being said, you know, whether it's a hoax or it's more deadlier than they even say. What the Lord has shown me is that it's a deadly disease. It's a deadly disease. And then when China quarantines 600-700 million people, that's not just for a few thousand deaths, 10,000 deaths or something. Something else is going on here. And only old people are dying, or people with the immune system problems. Well, they are more susceptible, of course, but there's been people dying more than just elderly people and people with immune problems. So we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. The Lord told me it was going to come. And when we open up the Bible to Revelation 6, I'm going to turn there right now, Revelation 6. And when we read, he says here, "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth." So he kills 25% of 7 billion some people. He kills 25%. So that's over a billion people. If there was 8 billion people in the world, then 25% or a quarter would be 2 billion. So I think it's about 7.2 or 3, I'm not sure, billion. So we know it's over a billion people. That's quite a bit of people dying in a relatively short period of time. And so he says he's going to kill. Power was given out to him. He's going to kill a fourth part of the earth with the sword. That's a war, a metaphor for war. And with hunger. Well, after you have war, you have starvation, diseases, pestilences you have. And with death, and with the beasts of the earth. The wild beasts of the earth. And so animals are going to be hungry, and they're going to be killing and eating people. It's not a very pleasant thought. But I want to ask you something, church. I want to ask you something, dear saints. Is it possible that we're not going to come out of this like it's just the epidemic in when the Spanish flu took place in 1918? A lot of people died, millions died, but we're in 2019 or 2020 now. And so, you know, there has to come a time where these things written here take place. And I'm talking about the day of the Lord is at hand. That time has to come when the day of the Lord is at hand. And so here we have, I believe these are angels. You've got seven seals. And the first one, when he opened the first seal, and I heard it, it was a noise of thunder, and one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, I assume that's like a bow and arrow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, if you were to compare the opening of these seals with Matthew chapter 24, when the apostles, the disciples asked Jesus, well, you know, when is the end of the world coming? When are all these things taking place? And when are you coming back? And Jesus said in Matthew 24, all right. Okay, one more page. Here we are. And Jesus said unto them, You see these stones? Verily or truly, I tell you, I say unto you, that there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And we know in 70 AD, Jerusalem was sacked by the Romans, and the final time the Jews were dispersed, the diaspora, dispersed throughout the earth, and they're still dispersed throughout the earth. Verse 3, And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. This is the first thing he says. Don't be deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. When I read this, and I put it together with the first seal of the rider on the white horse and the bow, he's got a crown on his head, and he goes out conquering, that this spirit is as the mystery of iniquity. Paul says the mystery of iniquity does really work. It's the spirit of Antichrist, the spirit of lawlessness. And so he says, don't be deceived. That's exactly what Satan does, exactly what the Antichrist does. Because the word anti is not like when you say anti-abortion, somebody that is against abortion. It actually means instead of Christ, a counterfeit Jesus Christ. A counterfeit Jesus Christ. And many counterfeits, he says, are coming. Don't be deceived. And there's still many counterfeits today. So that spirit is riding, and it continues to ride. And it started after the Lord, came to the earth and preached the gospel and was crucified, rose from the dead, and the apostles started preaching the gospel. And then he continues on, that he says here in Matthew 24, he says in verse 6, And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes, in divers, that means diverse places. And all these things are the beginning of sorrows. And so, when you go back to Revelation 6, and he opens the next seal, and there was another horse that was red, as in blood, red, and power was given him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So here comes this other spirit that influences mankind upon the face of the earth, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Ephesians 2:1 and 2:2. Satan is the prince and the power of the air, and he has control of the governments, of kings, of presidents on the earth, and he influences them to do these things. And so he opens the sixth seal, and this spirit has a great sword. It's for war. Take peace off from the earth, that men should kill one another. Well, ever since Adam and Eve sinned, Cain murdered Abel. The two sons of Adam, right away murder came into the world. Cain murders Abel, persecution, the godless against the godly. And so it is still today. But this is, I believe, he's speaking of here after Christ, or he rose from the dead, and the gospel is going forth and being preached. You see, because as the real gospel is being preached, Satan's coming with his counterfeits to distract, to deceive, to damn your souls. And then here comes the other spirit with the wars and taking peace from the earth. You had the Roman Empire. Well, the Christians were being murdered by the millions, crucified by the millions by the Roman Empire. And then you had the extension of the Roman Empire, the papacy, Pontifex Maximus, that killed more millions of people because they wouldn't bow down to the Pope. Then you had, and that went to the 1800s even. You believe that? To the 1800s. Search it out. And then you got coming the communist revolution, early 1900s with Lenin. And then you got Stalin. And then Hitler, and then Mao in China, killing 80, 100 million people? Hundreds of millions have been killed through communism. And what is communism? It's atheism, Darwinism, evolution, Darwinism, and it's just lawlessness. A spirit of lawlessness, man. And these things, get into their minds. These spirits, man, these demons, they influence the people, and they possess them also, to get this stronghold on their mind of this Marxism. And this is the way to do it. Then man is just a material creature. There's no soul. There's no spirit. You're dead. You're dead. So the one that's got the greatest power is the one who wins. Something like with Darwin and evolution. The fittest, the strongest survive. God's kingdom is you help them that are weak, that are feeble. You help the widow, the poor, the disabled. You don't exterminate them because they're useless eaters. This is the philosophy, people. This is the philosophy. Whether it be a communist or Nazi, this is basically the philosophy. Or look at it here today in America with the new progressive socialism and the new progressive marriages, same-sex marriages and pedophilia and transgenderism and all these things. They hate us for telling them that, hey, this is not right, this is a sin. You will go to hell for sure for this. You need to repent. God created a male and female. And no matter how much you show them that this isn't science, it's implanted inside their minds, inside their hearts, that this is true. And so therefore, They call us haters when the true haters are the ones that murder babies, 60 million plus inside the mother's womb. Let them die. Now make them comfortable on the table so they can die. Those are the real haters and the real murderers. Okay, taking little kids and transgendering them, puberty blockers, sodomizing their minds. These are the destroyers of mankind. These are inhumane, cruel things that people are doing. And when we tell them the truth of God and the consequences, we are the haters, we are the bigots. You follow me? So this is what's happening. We are at the end of days. We are at the end of days. And so this spirit rides and he kills many on the earth. And that's what it says back in Matthew 24. Wars, rumors of wars, be not troubled. You hear that, saints? He tells us not to be troubled, for these things got to pass.